right. Yeah, ready. Are folks out there? This is the exciting part. Show's just getting started. Engineers are working away. Who knows what we're going to talk about? People are putting things together.
Okay. Ready? I can start the clock.
Is the feed on?
We're live, but I gotta start the timer.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Is it going to start on Facebook?
Yeah, it's on. We should be on Facebook now.
Oh, on Facebook. Okay.
Yeah, welcome to our early adopter viewers today.
Welcome.
We're just getting some technical things in line, and before we start our show.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay, you think you're ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm gonna hit the timer button.
Oh, great.
Here we go.
Okay. All right. Oh, another great show. It's off and running.
Welcome to another episode of Smalltalk with Matt and John.
I'm John.
And I'm Matt.
I'm Matt.
And we are making small talk here for the next hour. So welcome.
Yeah.
See some exciting topics on today's show. We're going to talk about an art show.
An art show?
At Amy's place.
Yeah.
The
one that we had, and also a new one coming up, and current events.
Yeah, current events. There's lots going on. Today is actually the Buffalo mayoral primary, so that's a big event, although you wouldn't really know about it if you were kind of going about your life. Oh. And then, talked about prompt engineers, which is a new exciting career in AI.
Interesting. I can't even imagine what that is.
Yeah, well, you'll have to tune in to find out. And we got Nick's World joining in the chat saying,
hey,
I'm back again. Hello, Nick's World. And
hey, Nick.
If you're watching live on Facebook or one of our many Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, drop a comment and we'll try our best to respond in real time. Or if you're watching this afterwards, feel free to leave a comment. So let's get started. Where do you want to start with your? Should we?
The art show we had.
Okay, so let's recap. You had an art show at Amy's place.
Yeah, me and Sophie, we had an art show at Amy's Place, which is a great restaurant on Main Street.
It's like a diner. I didn't realize it's like a diner.
Yeah.
I travel all across the country looking for diners, and little did I know there's one right here on Main Street.
Yeah, it's vegetarian. It's a nice little diner.
Yeah, and the prices were not too inflated.
Yeah, they're very nice people, very good to us.
Yeah, and essentially Amy's Place is a small diner, and then it's kind of split in two. You were in the art room, which I think there's you see some art. What can people in you're at Amy's Place displaying your work for how long?
Well, it'll be there for a month, and basically Sophie has a lot of her cat pictures, images of cats, which are nice and cute. I also have a T-shirt available that you can get there called the Buffalo. It's called "We Almost Won 4 Super Bowls," and there's a picture of a cat dressed up as a buffalo on a shirt.
We did, which that's a truth. I think that we did almost win, although we didn't really almost. I guess we almost did, but we didn't at all. And we have Nick's World here says, well, one piece of news years ago was that Nintendo's voice of Mario stepped down to become the Mario ambassador of Nintendo. Oh, since you made that like the laughing noise, almost like the Pillsbury. I don't remember Mario making voices.
I'm pro Mario. I know he jumps over things.
Yeah, he also races in karts. That's another popular game. Is the actual karts.
Yeah, and also I think he should be the new Italian American icon, along with the pizza box guy.
Yeah, and Luigi.
Yeah,
they're plumbers, Italian plumbers.
Yeah, because just old Columbus is really. He was a jerk, to be honest with you, Columbus.
I think, I don't know. I don't know what Columbus thought. I mean, he was very consequential, but I'm also, I guess in the current day too, was the Italian plumber, was that a stereotype that you were familiar in your life?
No, I think the deal was the Japanese had a warehouse in America that was run by a guy named Luigi, and they were designing their game and they made a guy with a mustache. It's like, oh, Luigi from America, and that's where the name came from.
Huh.
So
Plumber, so-
yeah.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know maybe it's a millennial thing that I didn't grow up with the authentic Italian plumber.
Yeah, I don't think we were ever known as plumbers. I don't. General hardworking folk,
Yeah. And we have another comment here. Well, another Welsh language musician Wales lost was Dyfrig Wyn Evans. Dyfrig is said like Dovrig.
Oh, what band was he in?
I don't know, and I'm hesitant to now play because we played Sly last week, and then we got a message from YouTube that we were banned or monetized. It was very threatening. So yeah.
Oh, darn it!
Yeah,
I do have some new music to recommend that I've been getting into.
Okay.
LCD Sound System. Do you know who they are?
I think I might know a song of theirs.
I've been playing them at work. My buddy Babool at work loves it. And he's like, "Oh, that's really good music, John." He's a guy from Bangladesh. And he just really appreciates the LCD sound system.
I'm thinking of REO Speedwagon. Maybe that's...
I have a bizarre relationship with REO Speedwagon. They're okay. I like them. There's a girl girl in high school I know who really liked them. She was really shallow, but I had a crush on her. She was like, REO. And
REO has a popular song. I think one of my I'm slowly realizing I'm becoming a boomer, right? I'm not a boomer yet, but it's only a matter of time before the millennials are the boomers. And I was talking with a Zoomer coworker, and they were telling me that they consider anything early 2000s is old school. So Eminem to him is an old school rapper. And that was a very okay.
Yeah, that's me. I remember when he was. Yeah, that's always going to be like something from my youth. And
I actually went to a Less Than Jake show this weekend at Riverworks. When Less Than Jake is a ska band that was popular, started in the 90s, but it was kind of weird because they're like, we're been touring for 30 years, and that was ska music is interesting just from its use of, it's like punk rock meets meets jazz band because there's horns and stuff.
Yeah, it was a bit of Topper. I never heard of Topper. Maybe I should hear of Topper.
Yeah, there's a whole universe of music that. So thank you, Nick's World, for sharing thoughts about music and And I think one of the best places of Amy's Place is there's an open mic afterwards. I actually performed one of
your songs. Yeah,
I just got up there and I didn't realize it, but I think that's the joy of open mic is and it's
pretty good getting your music out there.
And for those of you that don't know him. Essentially, I've got a song. It's about City Hall corruption, and I think my favorite verse of my song goes, "She's a spy, the mayor's eye in the sky, president of the union, and she plays both sides. She's a spy, and Tracy should be doing time, and I won't stop singing till Tracy Healy's fired." Yeah, it's a therapeutic song about my union president at City Hall who doesn't represent people in the union and kind of uses her position. She works in HR. So she's on one hand as an HR agent not offering civil service exams, which strip the rights of the people that she represents, and then also not representing people. So that's my song, and
okay.
And also I think this is a good segue into your actual AI event that you're trying to do with infringement.
Okay, what I'm trying to do is organize with infringement, and once I get a location, then we're going to hit the ground. I want to get at least 20 artists.
20 artists. How many AIs?
What?
How many AIs are just...
Okay, this is the deal. You're an artist. You send in an image you've made. Send in what you're trying to get across with this image, like your style, but also like what you're trying to say with this image or what was going through your mind. And then it'll run the same thing through AI. It won't really be a competition, but more of a comparison.
It's more of a thought-provoking experience.
Yeah, it's a thought-provoking thing, and I think I want people to start talking about it. And ideally, someday, I would like to help encourage people to we should start legislating stuff about AI images. Like, I think every AI image you see, it should say AI in the
Yeah.
bottom. There should be a little copyright where everybody can see. Kind of like with the Comic Codes Authority. There is a label where you can see. It was Comic Codes Authority approved. Same way if you see an AI image, like if it's no matter what it is. Like you know, like inviting your own logo or something, or making up a stupid meme.
And I think that's one of the interesting kind of points. I mean, we're 2025, and I think one of the interesting philosophical dilemmas of our time is the rise of AI. And I think one thing that's pretty apparent is just the inability of legislatures and laws to adapt to this new world. Because like you're saying, I think there's actually a slogan in tech. They say, move fast and break things.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the philosophy of tech, and this AI is kind of moving faster. But yeah, we've just even seen, I think in New York State, right, is marijuana even legal yet? It's been like 10 years. So even things that are super popular amongst the populace, they can't roll them out quickly.
Yeah.
AI moves, infinitely faster than something like marijuana legislation. Because ultimately the question is, okay, we want to legislate AI. How do you actually get the AI to be legislated, right? If they're not natively, they're kind of not constrained.
It's because it is. I don't know. Who knows what? Like this is something we all want to discuss at our art show.
Yeah.
When we get there.
Well, I think one of my friends had a good quote of, "Good art provokes the comfortable and comforts the afflicted." And I think that's kind of, I'm getting those similar vibes to your art show. You're looking to provoke. More than it's not. Yeah. You're not saying right or wrong. You're just saying AI and artists. Yeah. And you're kind of just presenting a.
And I want people to like come up with a new idea. Yeah, I want people to think about it and maybe even feel a little threatened by AI and maybe try to plan something. But then again, we could be here. This is going to be the future.
Yeah,
and we're going to have to adapt to it as artists.
I think that's a kind of maybe a good segue. But I've been participating for the past month in Startup Wednesday Vibe Coding Hackathon, which essentially is using AI. The theme of the event was it's a month-long competition to like build something with AI. And and I think one of the discourse you just see currently is AI is coming for our jobs. AI is, which it is, it's coming for lots of our jobs. But I think one of the things, the main takeaway that I took away from participating in that and just learning more, I've kind of been in the wormhole of AI prompting. But yeah, there's a whole, I feel like AI it's encouraging, and it's going to create this economy and just a general existence where it's going to force human beings to think differently. So I think one of the things I've been researching is just prompt engineer. So there's a whole discipline now emerging of prompting and being an engineer. How do you prompt an AI to do things? And I think the way I can describe it is it essentially is like creative technical writing. So an AI is really smart because it has access to all information, but it's also very dumb, and it needs to be told exactly what to do. So for example, one of the things I learned is I think a lot of us, when we're using AIs, we kind of just almost use like a Google search box if you just type something in.
Yeah.
But one of the things I learned of the proper way to prompt is the first thing you're supposed to do is give the AI a role. So before you even ask it a question, say, okay, AI, your role is you are a visionary artist with expertise in oil painting. Or you give it a very specific role to play out, which I think is part of the creative side. And that just helps the AI's model kind of, right? It's trained on everything from 13th century history to Shakespeare to what a Karen is. So it's kind of populated and educated on everything. But by giving it a role, you really tell it specifically, okay, you're an oil painting artist, only focus on that domain. Don't kind of ignore all the other stuff. So, I think that's the thing is it's not going to replace humans. I think there's always going to be a need for humans, but definitely changes just the types of jobs we have, where right now, lots of jobs are, very, they encourage a type of thinking that can be easily replaced by robots.
Yeah. But it's a whole new world.
Yeah. Well, and I think it is a whole new world. And it really is. So it's just made me think of, it really makes you, right, and even jobs. I think the crazy thing to think about is that AI is actually going to start automating knowledge jobs. So things like maybe you're a marketing writer, or maybe you, essentially any job where you're just required to know a lot of things. That stuff now is just a prompt away of, You can prompt, if you need somebody to write content for your website, you just prompt the chat GPT. Your role is you are a senior content writer for websites.
Yeah.
And then you give it a challenge to do. So it's actually, right, if you have knowledge, right, you might be, you have the knowledge of everything. It's now, I think human beings working with AIs, I think the best systems are going to, be kind of hybrids of human thinking and AI, because the humans can almost become a conductor now. You can actually kind of think through things differently. Just it changes the way you need to think about problems and problem solving. Because like you're saying, it's this whole new world of very shortly we're going to have AIs that fundamentally change lots of the ways of doing things.
Yeah, it's but and I'm kind of excited. Like but I do intend on using AI to my advantage when with things that I'm weak at, with like writing things down and like coming across with I'll have good ideas, but when I try to say them, I'm like what would be a better way to say this? Or
I think that was my biggest things of participating in this hackathon is right when we think of companies, at least. Right, we often think of, and even our local mythology is right. Apple, the company where you had Steve Jobs, who was the brilliant marketing businessman, and then you had Steve Wozniak, who was like the brilliant engineer. That's kind of like traditionally been the roles, at least in startups and companies. Is right, you have one technically engineering type person, then you have one person that's more of a marketing, salesy. And I think my big takeaway with AI is depending on your skill set, whether you're a businessman or a creative thinker or an engineer, you can actually use AI to complement your skill set. So if there's if you're an engineer and you know everything about engineering and making websites, but you don't have a creative mind to think through ideas, you can use the AI to help you think through ideas. And, also, if you're just a creative person, but you have no idea how to code or do something technical, you can actually use the AI to kind of complement you. So, it's interesting, and it's just changed. It's moving so kind of rapidly that who knows? Yeah.
Oh, now Nick World is bringing up a thing called Octonauts by Vicky Wong, which is popular in China.
This is it. Vicky Wong, who is Canadian, has more popularity than us English speakers, especially with the Chinese exclusive movie, The Octonauts: Crisis of the Tsunami. That's a good point. I think that's there's just so many more people in China. There's popular culture, and I think that's we have this real. Our popular culture is more present throughout the world, but there's, like you're saying, there's people that are way more famous than any American person just because there's more people.
Yeah. There's a lot of people. Yeah, I've always wanted to get into the Chinese market somehow.
That's another thing is the Chinese market, and that kind of brings us to current events. So there's current events going on, which China is one of them. Yeah. But I know at least from sports leagues too, you're seeing lots of not just sports, but businesses realize if we can get into China, they just have many more consumers.
Though there is a downside that businesses kiss the Chinese Communist Party's butt, like with what they do, what they allow, like movies. Like there's been a lot of movies where China is never the bad guy. Yeah, it's always like some generic.
That's where I think as Americans, and especially right now, we're also. I mean, obviously, China is a massive, and I don't want to say problem, but they're an emerging economy, world power. And I think as Americans, we kind of view them as they're this almost unstoppable force just because they're so dynamic in the moment. But that's something interesting too. Is like, what is the actual social, the social dynamics in a country that large where you have a single party ruling things?
Yeah. I mean, I've gone there. I mean, it's weird because we're both kind of talking secondhand, like what is actually going on in China. I know, like I went there, it is huge. Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of chaos too. There's a lot of the Chinese government is in charge of everything, but they still can't enforce traffic laws.
Yeah, let's say it's much harder to enforce things top down than it is just to have no one in charge and be decentralized. I think that's kind of the great experiment of our times is, right, America is kind of this experiment in decentralization of power of, decentralized, everyone's got one vote, one person, one vote, and you kind of elect your politicians versus a Chinese society where it's very top down. There's the, whether it's Mao or the CCP, they kind of run things, and then it's into you to get along, which both of those have kind of advantages and disadvantages. On the American side, it's kind of hard to organize anyone behind something versus the Chinese way, but also if it's top down, it's kind of hard to be creative or think of new ways to solve problems. Yeah,
that's why. Well, a lot of them, they do steal our technology. That's one of the downsides of America. Like we've come out with a lot of genius stuff, but they just steal it.
Yeah, and that's actually there's this guy on YouTube that kind of got a little famous because he was doing this predictive history on YouTube where he was talking about problems. I think that's kind of. I'm super interested in just the topic of just general, really macro, zoomed out things. And I think one of the things we're struggling with is, right, we're doing our day-to-day life, but one of the things that happened was, right, America was this, after World War II was this, had all the factories from building war machines, and we turned that into building products, which we built here and sold to all the rest of the world. And then, obviously, over time, it became apparent of, we can actually do manufacturing cheaper offshore. We can make things cheaper, and that kind of slowly, where we had this advantage in being able to build things. The issue that now is after decades and decades of China making things, they've developed the expertise of manufacturing, but also they know how to make things, and being able to make things means that they are now kind of more innovative in a way because they know how to actually produce things,
and they could do it quickly. They could, and they have
scary in a way of what's. I think that's part of the rise of Trump, or it's just the general the American population. How did sending jobs offshore, kind of this era of globalism, how did that really benefit the regular American worker? Right, wages have been stagnant over time. The jobs people don't have pensions at their jobs anymore. Things are more expensive. I also worry because we just don't make anything here anymore, which. I think we saw with COVID just makes us very susceptible to black swan events or something. The fact that we're kind of even now with this emerging conflict in Iran, there's that actual strait there at the Red Sea where actual oil and products move in and out of that channel. So it's kind of crazy how well it's worked, because we've had this era where America is kind of the protector of the world. We protect global markets and prevent free trade, but how some of that stuff could change quickly because all it takes is one supply chain line or one strait being in a conflict, and now the ship's got to go all the way around the other way. Which drive up prices.
Yeah, so we'll see how things. Yeah, it's crazy what's going on in the world. Like if it's going to end up good or bad.
Yeah, and it's an interesting time for sure because it's definitely. This isn't your mom's America anymore, and we're definitely, like you're saying, there's politically we feel like we're. It's different. AI, I think, is changing things. So it's kind of crazy to live in this moment and not know how it's going to play out. And also, locally too, today is the mayor's primary for the city of Buffalo.
Okay. Okay. Who are you rooting for? I don't.
Yeah, so I guess there's a couple things. Today is the Democratic primary, so it's not the mayor's election.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But the city of Buffalo is very heavily Democratic, so. Traditionally, and who will see maybe traditionally whoever wins the Democratic primary becomes mayor. Obviously, the last election we had India Walton win the Democratic primary, and then Barron Brown did a write-in campaign. Yeah. So and then he won with the write-in campaign. So that kind of obviously that was a unique race, but that's one thing I'm interested in is does that set a precedent where now the Democratic primary isn't as important. So it's very important today. Today is not the mayor's race; it's the Democratic primary. Whoever wins the race today will be on the general line in November. So that being said, right now there's 5 candidates that are on the Democratic primary. You have the acting mayor, Chris Scanlon. You have State Senator Sean Ryan, Council Member Rashid Wyatt, the former Fire Commissioner Garnell Whitfield, and then Tyson Thompson, who is a former aide to Crystal People-Stokes. So there's essentially five candidates on the primary ballot. So I think. I guess I'm in the camp of anyone but acting Mayor Scanlon. So essentially anyone but the establishment. So really, there's the 2 main candidates that all the pundits have said, in based on fundraising and the data kind of shows that it's kind of a 2-horse race, at least in the Democratic primary, between acting Mayor Scanlon and Sean Ryan. So that case, I am for Sean Ryan. But I also do think that Garnell Whitfield, who's the former fire commissioner, I think he is the best candidate in the race. In this race, I think that's one of the disappointing things of this election is just, and I've learned too about New York City is doing their mayor's race, and they have actual ranked choice voting where if there's 5 candidates in the race, you can actually rank from 1 to 5 the order you like your candidates versus our current system, which kind of makes you pick candidates, one candidate, right now I think we saw this in the presidential elections of you might not like Hillary Clinton, you might not like Kamala Harris, but you're kind of in this position where you have to, you're almost, it seems like we vote on the lesser of evils versus voting for a candidate. So I think that's one of the quagmires of this election. You have a lot of people that might not think Sean Ryan is the best candidate in this 5-way race, but doesn't want to split the vote against candidates that you don't think are going to win, so you vote for Sean Ryan. So I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah. I think it's important because the city of Buffalo mayor affects people that live in Hamburg, that live in Amherst. It's kind of a regional thing. But yeah, that's today. I think one of the craziest things too is just how, I don't know what the word for it is, but yeah, just how it's not even really that big of a thing today. It doesn't feel like an ordinary day, but yeah, we're electing a mayor who will serve a 4-year term, and it's really flying under the radar. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, I hope he does a good job. I hope it changes Buffalo for the better. Yeah.
What was your shirt? Is what politics, other stuff, or don't you have some sort of Buffalo political slogan?
No. I have a shirt that says "Food, bars, other stuff." And yeah, that covers a lot. And the other stuff, I mean, you can be into politics.
Don't you have a politics shirt? You have some political slogan shirt?
I have one that says, another apocalypse-free year.
Yeah.
Which is people are afraid to buy it because they always get that look on their face like,
yeah, because too soon.
As Americans, we always think the world is going to end.
Yeah.
Really soon.
And yeah.
But we keep missing it on apocalypse. I don't think I have any political. Actually, with a political statement,
you have more just characters. You have Donald Trump in some of your art.
I've thrown that into certain
Barack Obama and Putin. I think you had it at some point.
I have bizarre cartoons. I had a bizarre cartoon of the beast of the apocalypse.
Interesting.
With the horror Babylon was on it, and it had like all the tyrants. It had Putin on there, Osama bin Laden, the Iraqi guy. I think it was Jerry Springer. Seinfeld was in there. That was goofy and weird. It is all different heads of the beast of the apocalypse. And what other political things I did? Yeah, I did one of Trump getting thrown in jail.
Oh, well, good. And yeah, speaking of politics, I'm excited to share that. This Friday, June 27th, I'll be doing a teach out for the Justice for Geraldine and Martin campaign. So I actually have this teach out of the Justice for Geraldine and Martin campaign presents Teach Out, Police Reform and the Patronage Machine. So this Friday at 1412 Jefferson Avenue at 6:30, I'll be giving just a presentation on the Buffalo Police Reform Agenda, which is a piece of legislation that was adopted by the Buffalo Common Council after the murder of George Floyd. And then also be talking about the Patronage Machine, which is the system and I think I'm comfortable saying the systemic corruption within the civil service. So kind of how the city actually picks who does jobs in City Hall. And Justice for Geraldine and Martin is part of this campaign to exonerate Geraldine Pointer and Martin Sostre. They were framed up in the 60s by the Buffalo Police at 1412 Jefferson, which was the historic Afro-Asian bookstore. So Martin Sostre, he had a bookstore back in the 60s during the Vietnam, and he had a lot of radical literature and not popular stuff. So I'm excited because we just did a teach out at 1412. Right now it's a vacant lot. So it's a vacant city-owned lot. We did a teach out on South African apartheid. So
Oh, okay.
trying to put on events and teach us that kind of honor the legacy of radical literature and intellectuals and free speech.
Yeah.
So I encourage everyone to come out if you're available. I think is it Jefferson? They do like Funk Fridays. But come on down if you're around, and I'll be giving a speech on what I know, because I think the more I know, the more I learn that not many people have had the experience of me of actually working in City Hall. It's a very kind of closed loop system. So excited to give that presentation.
Oh, okay. But it's going to be about those two people, though, right? Or
No,
the patronage.
So the justice for and I think I'm going to be trying to maybe tie it back to their history. So Geraldine and Martin, there's the campaign to exonerate them, and that group is also kind of honoring them by revitalizing the vacant lot that the city owns. And I think part of my presentation is going to be kind of trying to paint a picture of how Geraldine Pointer and Martin Sostre being framed up in the 60s is part of something larger that continues today. So I'm definitely going to try to be honoring the history about the space there, and also what happened with the Buffalo Police with them, because essentially they were kind of framed because of what they were saying was not popular. But that was kind of during. I think that's one of the craziest things is to look back even at the 60s now with this new Iran conflict in Ukraine. Which you go back to the 60s and it was all about Vietnam. So it's kind of.
And they have already they've got rid of people who have had anti-Israel views from the campuses. They've done that already, and they are slowly trying to get back into that mode of they have ICE agents wearing masks, just kidnapping people. Now they're so-called immigrants and stuff, but that could switch up to.
So I think it's I think one of the things that makes America so great in theory is that we have freedom of speech and freedom of expression, that you can speak publicly about your feelings, because I think even some of the presentations I've been seeing online, just trying to get myself to understand the Iran conflict, of just some of the big things is how America is really the quotes that they have is just we're addicted to empire, which is kind of I kind of see this most recent moves of we can't find some conflict or some regime we want to overthrow. And whether it was just in my lifetime, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, and even the conflict in Ukraine, it's just crazy how things repeat themselves. Because then you think about the Vietnam War, those were protests. What were we doing in Vietnam? Or it's kind of the same. The times change, but but
it is. It's the thing is with, I know the Republicans in particular, but it seems like we've always had. They are the bad guy. They do hate us. We are their devil.
Who's that?
The Iranians. This is what they chant about us. So that is on the table, but we could always ignore them. Yeah.
Well, that's where it's just. Who knows? What the truth is. And who knows? I think that's what's just scary is you can only know history going back. There's no way to fully know how actions today, right? Whether, how they affect the future, and there's unknown ripple effects.
But all with Iran, it was just bad American policy all along. It was like they had a democratically elected government. We overthrew it. We had our CIA. We did what we accused other countries of doing, but we had secret CIA guys go in there, and they helped coup a democratically elected president in Iran. And then it turned around on us, and then mullahs got in power.
That seems to be kind of another just talking point of the American empire is we're democracy unless the people that are democratically elected are not people that we agree with. In that case, then we'll do our regime change war, all in the name of democracy, but really we just need regimes that support our point of view. And I think as someone that's can kind of remember just for living with the Afghanistan conflict and the whole weapons of mass destruction. I would just love to see a time where we're not fighting a forever war in the Middle East.
For like we're at war again.
Without a clear objective, clear I think my big worry, especially after watching some videos of just this guy's crazy. He was doing predictive history where he was like a year ago recording a lecture about what's happening today. So it's crazy how people in the know and people that are like study this much deeper than me or you, they can see things happening before they it's not a complete surprise.
I don't know. My take on Trump, it seems like he doesn't have any idea of where he's actually going. But well, this guy, he's being pulled into Iran, or is it? Yeah, his prediction was he would be in Iran.
Well, yeah. So I think the theory was that Iran, Israel is trying to get us to invade Iran, and then also part of going into Iran was it helps, just keep right. We're addicted to empire. We need wars to fight. And I don't want to exactly repeat what they're saying, just because I don't fully understand
what he was getting at.
But I think it's similar to even just people when Putin invaded Ukraine. I found a clip of this guy. He was a scholar in 16 saying this is what's going to happen if the U.S. keeps up its doing. Because it's just crazy how.
But I do.
You just wish the people that are running the things also are, have that type of thinking of they're thinking through. The ramifications of things, not just how they feel.
I do hope it seems like the Ukrainians are doing a good job of hollowing out the Russian military, which is good. Like they did, they got like a third of their bombing fleet. Like did you see that? It was really clever.
With the drones and
they sent like trucks and they just burst out with drones and just.
I think that's the craziest thing too about war. It's right. A lot of it just comes down to the will to fight, and I think it's you can be fighting an opponent with all the advantages in the world, but if they're soldiers, if their country doesn't have the heart to fight it and doesn't want to, versus someone, right? If you're Ukrainian, your homeland was invaded, you have a much more. It's much harder. So I think that's kind of what's crazy too. Is which is I think tracing back to what we've been taught about the American Revolution, right? Right, the British were they were professional soldiers in suits and they marched in lines and wore
or
red suits,
bright red hats.
But we were just a bunch of cobbled together people that were defending themselves, and even Vietnam, right? I think American military, but they were kind of really harmed a lot by just Viet Cong people hiding in holes for decades.
Yeah, and it was just that was so angering because oh my God. Lyndon Johnson, who continued the war, knew it was a losing thing. He knew, and he sent guys in anyway. And like a lot of the Kissinger knew, and Nixon knew, and they all kind of kept pushing it. And they knew, but it was like they didn't want to back down. Like they were like it's like they're all going up an escalator, and they never thought to like start walking backwards or stop. It was weird, but it's also like male ego. Like they didn't want to like.
Well, that's part of the. I mean, part of the theories with an empire is that you're the big bully on the street, and right. I think a lot of America's just got about in the facade that we're invincible. Whereas you kind of almost need to show strength just to, which is. A weakness too, because people know you can kind of get baited too. So I get worried that we might fall into some sort of conflict where we have soldiers in on the ground, and then even with Afghanistan, it just seemed like we got in there, and then there was no really withdrawal plan. We just kind of hung out there,
and nobody wanted to be. Well, with Vietnam, nobody wanted to be the president who lost a war.
Yeah, one of the hard things to think about is like, actually, when you actually think, how hard is it actually to do regime change and actually install in a culture that's completely different than ours, just a liberal democracy. Like that's not something where you just go in and do that. That's like that takes a lot of strategy and work to even do something that might not even be possible. So I just wish, and I'd love to see the American strategy be like, I know we want to do regime change. We would love that the whole Middle East have liberal democracies, but what is that a good way to spend our resources?
And like the thing is, I think it's certain countries. Can we enforce liberal democracies on other? It's a really hard thing to do. What
if their liberal democratic voters elect a regime that we're not fans of.
And which has happened. Yeah, I mean, which will happen eventually. You know,
I think. I mean, I do remember time before the wars in the Middle East, but now even younger people, a lot of the kids on college campuses protesting and in support of Palestine and the wars in the Middle East, they're growing up and they don't even remember. Right, you're gonna have generations of kids that don't even remember a time when we weren't at war.
Yeah, we weren't. Yeah, it was like, and the thing is, we finally did get out of our entanglement. We've always been, we've been doing covert bombings.
Yeah. Like, what do we? Yeah, we don't even really know.
Yeah.
But then that's what's harder in Iran of just who do you believe? Do you believe the administration? I don't. Do you believe MSNBC and the media? I don't. It's so hard to understand as normal people that have other things to do in their life, like go to open mics at Amy's place and earn a paycheck. And then it's so hard to understand all the moving variables, whether it's a place like Ukraine, Iran, and yet no one really understands the reality. But yeah, it seems anytime we're engaging in a conflict, I think that's to me kind of the big frustration is just I'm going to be going my whole adult life without any sort of focus on building up America and not invading and occupying and doing regime change wars, which I've never really met an average American that is spouting for regime change in any country. It's really
no American ever wanted that. They never wanted Iraq. We never wanted Iraq.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the things too is just the people running our country is just they. Even there was a clip of Tucker Carlson. He was interviewing Ted Cruz, and I think Tucker Carlson is usually thought of as like this fox swinger, but he had a clip. I don't know if you saw it online.
Yeah,
where he was talking with Ted Cruz, and he was just trying to understand why we're doing this.
Ted Cruz, he just wanted to go to war. He's like, well, do you know what the population is of Iraq? And he's like, I don't know. And it's like they just want a war. They don't. Hey, one thing, those guys are not going to go fight. Like Ted Cruz is not going to fight in a war.
Yeah.
He or is his family going to fight in a war? So that's one thing to note.
And that's why I'm worried too, because even just where we are politically, of one, do we have a will to be in another war? And I think it's pretty clear. I don't know any people that are like clamoring to go fight in the war in the Middle East. We've wanted. Even going back to Obama, hope and change. We don't want endless wars.
I don't want. The thing is, and I don't want a small scale war like where, like we can actually sit there and like wipe, like say let's say a war with Panama or something where we could have a small scale takeover of Panama. But then what you'd have is like an attack every couple of weeks. Some soldiers are, come. A few guys die, every month, or every week. A few guys here and there, a few guys here and there. But we've conquered like I don't want the small scale war either. That's another thing.
We have a comment here from Nick's World. Well, I've heard that in a video, most schools here in the U.S. just give us stress, and if you're me, a truckload of regret. And I've also heard that some schools in the world also do harsh punishments, even for one tint deed.
I know Asia. They're very. I feel bad for the Asian kids,
really?
Like Korea and Japan.
Well, then part of my concern, at least from the education perspective, is China is like I think they're using like TikTok to educate their kids, whereas like our kids are being targeted to make them dumber with TikTok.
Here is a scary talking about schools. Here's a horrifying story from Japan, of all places. They had Japan. They had a very strict tardiness in when you come to school thing. And all the students, you're a good student. You have to be in school at a certain time. But these kids, they're not like Americans. They have to get on the bus. They have to come in. It's not like where they had buses sticking them out. They're from the inner city of Japan. And of course, there was this uptight disciplinary asshole teacher who all these kids would have to rush in at a certain time, and then he would slam the door shut. He would sit there like with a watch. I could just tell the type because I love the Japanese. but they're crazy. They're out of their mind because there's these people in Japan who are like this, where like the rules, you got to do the rules, and you got to be here on time. And this teacher would sit there, and he would just, and the kids would, there would be a certain time, like, and they all run. They'd run for the door. The one time this happened, all these kids were running for the door, and here he is, a dumb teacher, typical, like, I have some problems with you, Japan. You better stop with me. You're mosquito.
It's just teachers in general.
And he slams the door, and he crushes the girl's skull.
Whoa.
Crushes her goddamn skull. And guess what? Afterward, they were kind of like blaming the students afterward. Because this is where, like, in Japan, crazy stuff like this happens, like, where there's still...
There's a culture. Well, I think even, there's a culture of the teachers... reverence for the teacher.
Yes, and they push that bullshit on these kids, where it's just like I have a lot of empathy for like Japanese people who get driven and crazy by their society.
Yeah,
like they're a different kind of crazy.
That's why their just culture is so interesting because it's just so different. Because I think there's something to say for even when I was in grade school at UB, I took a class where I was the only American student. It was all the teacher was from India, all the students were from India. Just one thing I noticed was the culture of there was reverence for the teacher, and the teacher was like, kind of you followed them, which is different than our schools, which I think push the standardized tests and kind of measurement of outcomes.
Also, I know in Asia too, there's age that comes from Confucianism. There's an age, like if you're a little bit older, they have respect for you. Like you're supposed to, if you meet somebody who's a little bit older, you have to call them big brother.
Yeah,
like especially in
our
Korea.
Culture doesn't really value age and wisdom. Yeah, we kind of respect youth and.
I kind of the thing is
you need to strike a balance. So you gotta
But as an older guy, I like being respected by younger people, and if I'm disrespected by younger people, I'm like, it does piss me off.
Yeah,
but
that's why I feel like we have to, especially as I almost had my boomer moments where Eminem's an old school rapper, and there's slang and stuff. So I've almost realized, really old people, I want to be hip. I want to be hip with the young kids because it's very easy to be, not knowing about AI. And I think that's what's interesting for my generation of I'm between boomers and zoomers. So like the zoomers, they just understand the way things are now and don't really understand boomers. But I kind of lived in both those worlds. So I can kind of,
I understand the crusty old boomers. I'm really frustrated with the crusty boomers I deal with, and people of my generation, who are like, I don't understand this new generation. And I'm annoyed by them. I don't know.
Which I think it's interesting because the new generation doesn't understand. I mean, I just remember trying to explain to my friend about a shopping mall, trying to understand that people used to go and hang out there, and it was just couldn't grasp that. And that was just 20 years ago. Yeah. So I think you're just gonna have young kids that just don't understand the way things were, and the same thing. They're the people that are older that don't understand.
But I do I do feel bad for these kids who are trapped on the internet. They don't like we used to go. Did you go out and have fun with your and
play outside? There's no now.
My entire neighborhood was my backyard, and all the other kids. We would all just go out and play and have.
There's dogs too off their leashes, and
every kid had a dog that would follow him around. And they'd be, hey, John, I have my dog there, and my best friends would have his dog there, and they'd be like, it was funny, and you'd get your bike up and down the street.
Yeah, I think as somebody that didn't experience those days, there's a nostalgia there of just the way things were post World War II. Yeah, just in the boomer days. I don't know, the 60s or 70s. I view them as kind of very idyllic.
I just, with us, I know, it's just the idea of you could just go out and play in the neighborhood, and that was good. And you didn't, it was weird.
I think, I don't know if this was related to the DARE, or the Don't Do Drugs campaign, but just the whole campaign of scaring parents from, their kids are going to get kidnapped, which kids do get kidnapped, but the whole idea that all the kids everywhere can't be outside unsupervised. The buddy system. We solved this with the buddy system.
The thing is, if you're out with a bunch of other kids, you're kind of safe within that group.
Yeah.
You're
a buddy. Everybody's got a buddy.
You're safe that way. I think it's like kids. Yeah, you don't want them out creeping around alone, kids. But yeah, you come in like team of friends where they're on the bikes and little Sally's talking to Julie and her friends, and they're all together, and
and their parents know each other, and they go to the schools.
And yeah,
we have some families can't afford any education in some countries due to high pricing and the poor economy.
Yeah.
Which I think, well, even with the whole AI, I think it's made me realize. I think a lot of schools are rushing to like ban it because you have the boomer teachers that don't understand AI. And when I was, they used to learn cursive. But I think one of the things, right, we should be teaching kids how to write to AI. So like writing to AI is a whole different like skill set that's going to be needed versus how to write an essay. So because even the kids now, if they have to do an essay for their college class or whatever, they just copy paste the question in there. But we should really be teaching our kids, how to use AI, how to write to an AI. And we just need to change kind of our mode of education, because I feel like the education system is really focused on standardized exams and measuring exams, which the economy is really not about just doing what you're told, but trying to think creatively to solve problems. And standardized tests can't really solve that.
Yeah. It's crazy stuff. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I have some television recommendations for you, the public. If you have Disney Plus, I say watch the new Marvel series, What If. I just finished it. It was pretty good.
And how many subscriptions do we need now to stay current with all the media?
I know, really. The way me and my girlfriend do it, we'll watch one
HBO, Hulu.
Yeah. We'll cancel HBO until a good series that we like comes back. Then we'll watch it for a little while. We'll watch all those series until it's over. Then we cancel that. And then we'll go to Disney Plus.
So you just hop around.
Inevitably, though, you end up like forgetting to cancel one service, and we're like, oh my God, I've been paying for
That's the thing, especially with the live sports. I mean, I wanted to watch the Stanley Cup live, and it's on live TV, and like you can't find anywhere. And it's just like, I'm a set of eyeballs like that want to, give me propaganda for corporate commercials, but you can't find it. And it's just like, I have the internet. Oh no, it's blocked everywhere because you got to get a Fubo TV subscription.
Yeah. Okay,
I guess my eyeballs won't be watching your
product. That's what goes with me. Like usually, me and my girlfriend, we want to watch the Bills when they're winning, and that's all we have to.
That's why I do have an antenna, so I appreciate the free cable. But Fubo, Hulu, YouTube, Peacock, and they're all like $9.99 a month. So if you really, Nick's World says that this September 8th, they're doing their own Blues Clues watch-a-thon to celebrate it coming out in '96. Oh, Blues Clues is another.
I was told that I looked like the Blues Clues guy, which is true when I was skinny.
I see. I feel like you put on a pair of khakis and a blue striped. What are those?
I think
shirts?
I could too. Yeah, he was like Blues Clues. Woo. It's a little clues and.
It was a little jingle. Maybe I was just a little too old, but I always found Blues Clues a little creepy. If I was born 5 years earlier, I would have got it because I was just a little too old for the Blues Clues.
Yeah.
I liked Clifford the Big Guy. What's the thing with big dogs of color? There's a big Blues Clues. Clifford's the big red dog.
I do like Clifford. The idea of Clifford a big red dog.
Yeah, a big red dog.
Blues Clues, they had a blue dog in it too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's part of the corporate media is how they generate show ideas. Just a different colored dog.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, I remember it was funny. On The Simpsons, they did a really good job as it was. The way it goes. This is the way it goes in cartoon hierarchy. You have the mouse, you have the cat, and then you have the dog.
I'd say that probably the mouse is the bad character. But you could switch those. You could play them around any roles.
I remember Tom and Jerry. The mouse would torture the cat.
Yeah,
it was
almost right. It's just basic storytelling. You need a protagonist and antagonist. Then you always need like kind of the dumb sidekick. There's always like a dumber kind of funny, but like Patrick and SpongeBob, just kind of a dim-witted character that keeps things
Merry Melodies did have a few ones where I think they had 2 dogs. Where one dog was like, a tough little dog. Like, go, let's go. And then one was big and slow. Like, okay. It was kind of based on of the characters from Mice and Men. One character was big and slow.
One of the things tying it back to AI, what's crazy is I don't know if you've seen some of the video content that now AI is producing. But essentially,
yeah,
and I think Disney, they've had a monopoly for the last couple generations. It's just the story. Like storytelling is pretty simple. There's a setting, there's an environment, something happens, it's changed, and then there's some sort of resolution. So Disney is actually pretty simple. They kind of just use the same story arc. But AI is actually making it so easy to produce video that anybody could just kind of prompt an AI to like create a show with a green dog and a turtle. That's
The stuff is amazing. I mean, sometimes it's dreamlike. It's stuff you could a Hollywood studio wouldn't think that.
Yeah. Well, we're emerging this thing where any person has what used to be a Hollywood budget. They're going to have it at your fingertips, and the only constraint is going to be creativity, your ability to creatively think through new ideas versus it's just interesting because anybody could kind of just be able to produce some sort of art. In fact, people are on TikTok and whatnot. They're using AIs to generate a commercial. The funniest one was when I saw the actual gorillas. People were creating kind of gorillas being interviewed about the one gorilla versus 100 man challenge. So it's just interesting.
That is funny. It's pretty.
30 years of even 30 years of Blue's Clues. That feels like that's like another moment. Blue's Clues has been around for 30 years.
Yeah. Well, I'm older than Blue's Clues. Yeah.
But now I'm at the age where I'm starting to like have my I'm old now moments. You probably had a couple decades of this already, so I'm just kind of new to the.
Jeez, when I really started feeling in my 50s more like I am old now. Like it was in my 50s because I got the gray hair and the gut and. That's when, to me, the 50s, because I always held on to my youth. I always held on, or the ideas of youth.
Yeah.
Whereas I had sad, pathetic friends who, at 25, started acting real old. Well, I knew a guy. I went to work with a guy, and his hair went gray. And when he was 30, therefore, you know what he did? He started constantly referring to himself as an old man and acting like an old man. And like he wouldn't do simple things. Like I was the guy who would get food every day and bring it like into the cafeteria. One day I just left it there and he couldn't.
That's I think what's crazy too. Just being a cashier at Tops is I see a lot of people's IDs, and I kind of do the mental game before someone gives me an ID. I try to guess their birth year. It's just eye opening because sometimes you'll just be like a decade or two off. And I see people you're 41, you look like you're 6. Like, so it's just interesting of how people, I think there's a concept, there's like your real age and there's your biological age.
Yeah, I did fight aging mentally. Now I have to accept it.
Yeah, how do you age gracefully? I know we have one friend that's into the vegan diet, and the whole healthy diet, because I'm sure,
he's healthy. He's a healthy guy.
Well, yeah, so I guess, how do you prolong the human experience or agony? Do you just eat healthy foods? Or I know, right? I think it's simple. You just eat vegetables. You sleep a lot. Drink a lot of water. Don't be stressed out.
Yeah.
Don't smoke.
Don't smoke. That'll keep you. Yeah, I'm glad I quit smoking. That's why I'm alive now. I would be dead.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Glad that you. Yeah.
I was a chimney. I was out of my mind. I was a constant chimney. It was terrible. Huh. But I'm glad,
Well, you were also, Well, they just used to advertise tobacco like as it was a thing.
They even kind of, in magazines, and they would give cigarettes away too. They in public, they would just hand like.
Well, actually, when me and my brother, when we were, I think it was the 25th, or it was the anniversary of the Ford stamping plant where Grandpa worked.
Yeah.
And me and my brother, I think we were both 5 or 6, 6 and 7. And what did we get for our souvenir for visiting the factory?
An ashtray.
An ashtray.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought that was just it's just funny you have young kids visiting.
Like, here's
the
an
factory.
ashtray.
Here's an ashtray.
Yeah, because they could stamp those out like really easily.
Yeah, but I think you could stamp other things out easily. Why you?
Yeah, like a little toy or
I
something.
even feel like a boomer because I remember just the fact they used to segregate restaurants, not by the color of people's skin, but whether they
Smoking.
wanted smoke in the air or not.
I am glad that they finally got rid of smoking in restaurants. Even though I was an angry smoker, where it's like, I just want to
Which
smoke.
is interesting to back up. Okay, we have a diner where it's just one giant air, but we have this small divider, and you
Yeah.
can smoke in that line, but on the other side you can't.
I'm glad they stopped that. That's right. I'm glad for rules that interfere with people's lives.
We have a comment here. I think that I have one unanswered question. When John refers to one of the hosts when he was skinny, was he referring to Steve, who wears green stripes, or Joe, who wears square? I think you were referring to yourself that you used to be skinny.
I used to be skinny. I don't know which host on the show was the skinniest, skinny or what. But I was a skinny guy. I looked like him. I was skinny. See this? Shrink this, like.
I guess you could have been like Subway Jared, but for smoking. You could have taken advantage of the capitalistic opportunity in your own.
Of being skinny?
Of just smoking a lot. You could have been like Jared. You could have gone to Subway and got subs once a day and then not smoked anymore.
Well, another because I was a smoker, it made me gaunt. Basically my metabolism, instead of eating, it would go to. I would skip meals to smoke.
Yeah. So we have 30 seconds left. I know I want to plug my event of the Teach Out for Buffalo Police Reform and the Patronage Machine this Friday. And any other?
Yeah, Bushido. We've had enough of it. Take it easy, guys.
Yeah. Taro Sugimoto is a hero.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And get out to vote. There's still time to vote if you're in the city of Buffalo for mayor. Anyone but Scanlon. That is my recommendation. Okay. Well, till next time.
All right, do not say, hey, guys.